we go. Okay, hopefully my internet's gonna stay in here. Okay, cool. All right, ladies, excited for this talk. I've been working on this for a couple of weeks. It's been like a process of labor. So I'm hoping that it's going to speak to you. I would encourage you to get that pad of paper. I just got a new notebook. There is nothing better, ladies, than getting a new notebook, right? Finishing one and then getting a new one with a fresh, clean page. Oh, I love it. I just got that this week. That was so exciting. So I was thinking, during this pandemic, because that's where we're at. So if you're listening to I hope that at some point you listen and we are out of this and this is no longer relevant in terms of the pandemic, but the message is going to be relevant to you no matter what. But I was feeling like I was getting through this whole thing pretty unscathed. Only very recently, like within the last couple of weeks, have I felt that I've been pressed and squeezed and twisted and pulled and pushed, and things inside of me has started bubbling up and out of me, and at times even erupting out of me. But it's not that I haven't been watching what's going on. I'm watching what's going on. I'm there. I'm with all of you. However, it's only recently that I felt it pressing on me. Yes, Tracy, I hear you, girlfriend. And so beyond like groceries being impacted, like not going there as often or doing online, Berlin school has been obsolete. Play dates look different. No parks to go to. My fitness job and coaching has shifted a little bit, but compared to what other people are going through, like I feel really blessed. Until recently, lately, I have not felt the freedom that I have felt in times past when this whole thing started. So I have found myself wrestling with the feeling of being trapped in the same day over and over and over again. Can anybody relate? Totally feeling like I'm living Groundhog's Day over and over. I'm imprisoned in these four walls with my 4-year-old. And every once in a while, I get a Zoom call, right? Or a FaceTime call where I actually get transported out of my home and I get to be with other people. I've felt shackled to the rules, to the policies, to the procedures, to the mandates that are coming down that conflict with my conscience, conflict with my faith. And I live in America, but I don't feel united and I don't feel free. So we've had this upheaval of our commitments, right? We've had this clearing of our social obligations. We've had the distancing of people, places, things that have felt safe. They've felt solid. They've felt normal. It's what we built our life around. And God has been challenging my paradigm of freedom in the midst of this prison. And again, I haven't felt like this. It's like God needed this to last so long so that some of the stubborn people like me would actually start to feel some of the things that I believe he wants to give to us as a gift. So I started thinking, what if what we thought was freedom, and just stay here with me. I think that how we define freedom in our society right now is that we get to do, to buy, to accumulate, to pleasure our senses, to indulge, to commit, to overcommit, to plan, to overplan, to play, and to be in control. I think that defines our sense of freedom. But my question is, maybe that's really the prison. So follow me. What if the normal lives that we want to get back to, if looked through a different lens and a different perspective, tells a very different story, maybe even the real story that we've been searching for. And as we look at the things that have been taken away and the things that remain that have not been shaken, right? What do we notice? What do we notice? Because through the eyes of lack, it feels like prison, all these things that we don't have. But through the eyes of faith, it can look like freedom. Getting rid of all the things that we actually prayed God to take away anyway. Through the eyes of pleasure, it feels like hell because all the things that we had gone to, we can't go to anymore. But through the lens of priorities, it looks like the Garden of Eden. As I listen to my own narrative and I've been listening to people around me and talking to people, there's strong evidence to support, guys, ladies, that we jumped on the crazy train of life. We jumped onto this crazy train of life without, up to this point, knowing how or if we could even get off of the train. And most of us have been so used to the pace and the standards of our lives that we haven't even questioned who in the hell has set the pace. Pardon my French, but that's like where I'm at right now. Who set this pace? Who set these standards? Who told me that this is what I needed to do to be successful in this life or to be someone in this life? Like actually questioning that. Who set it up? Because what has happened is these standards that have been set up by whoever, okay, are driving us into exhaustion. They're driving us into poor health. They're driving us into addiction. They're driving us into estranged relationships, disconnected families. This crazy train of life that we're all trying to keep pace of, that we actually have a break from right now, is the very thing that has driven us to many of the things that we all struggle with right now. So it seems that this is kind of what happened, in my opinion. I wrote down some examples. Instead of challenging social norms and standing out, heaven forbid, we conform to fit in, even if it doesn't align with our beliefs and our values. Even if there's something deep inside of me that says, this just doesn't feel right. This just doesn't feel like this is going to be my path to my best life. But everybody else is doing it, so I have to do it. What if instead of questioning the standards that we're giving to us for success, we just strive to achieve a moving target? And this moving target is always beyond our reach, right? We never get to success. Do you guys get that? Women, we never get to beauty. It's always a moving target. No, nobody's ever gotten there. How do I know? Because there's beautiful people in this world with millions of dollars and they're spending it on Botox and they're spending it on all these things and they just keep spending it and they keep changing and they keep going to, now our hair's short, now our hair blonde, now we're thin, now we have muscles, now we have this, and they keep chasing it too. Instead of rejecting what others have said or done to us as truth, we accept them as the basis of who we are, what we deserve, and what we're capable of. Instead of loving without any expectations, we love on unattainable terms that breed disappointment, disconnect, and resentment. Instead of filtering our decisions from significance and who we are in God, we base our decisions on what will make us feel significant, even if it's just for a moment. Instead of being vulnerable and authentic with our lives, we numb out. We numb out on anything that will shield us from the pain and suffering of real life. But unfortunately, ladies, when we numb out the bad and the pain and the suffering and the things that we don't want to look about that are part of why we are and who we are, then we also numb out the good stuff. Because this is not selective numbing. When we numb out the good and the bad. So some of you are looking for this abundant life, this amazing life, and you're like, why can't I get it? If you're numbing out the bad stuff, that's one of the reasons why you're not enjoying the abundance and everything that you desire, because you can't selectively numb. You numb it all. So what if for so long we've been looking around to other imperfect people, other lost people, to gauge the flow, the pace, and the standards of our lives and how we're supposed to live? What if, and these are the questions I've been asking God, what if this great pause, which is what we're calling it, is exactly what we needed to interrupt the pattern? Exactly what we needed to actually get an opportunity to get off the flippin' crazy train. Like, we didn't know how to get off of it before, but now the freaking train is stopped. Like, I'm so excited about that. I get a choice of whether or not I jump back on or I say hello or goodbye and I'm going to take a horse. I'm going to take a four-wheeler. I'm going to take some other mode of transportation, but I'm not getting back on the crazy train where somebody else is driving. That's not my God. I'm not going to get back up. What if this is the time, God, that we ask some hard questions and seek the truth? So maybe your crazy train of life has slowed down. Maybe it's stopped. Maybe it hasn't, but maybe for some of you it has, at least in some ways. There's some things that are different that have been removed, okay? Let us be open to reevaluating the whole system of how we do life, Okay? Because perhaps we may find that somewhere along the road of life, someone or something told us that we're not enough. Yeah, guys, I'm going there. Oh, I'm going there. Because this is at the crux, ladies, of all of our stuff. Is somewhere along the line, something happened that made us question, doubt, or even believe that we are enough. And from this lie around our self-worth, we began to disengage with our intuition. We began to disengage with the Holy Spirit. We began to disengage with our conscience. And the reason we did that is because we believed that we couldn't be trusted. If we're not enough, if we're flawed, if there's something wrong with us, how can I trust myself, right? Especially if it's going against what I'm seeing around me, what everybody else is doing. Oh, heaven forbid. That sounds absolutely excruciating. And in turn, we began making decisions and living out our life out of a desire to blend in. So instead of being who we really are because we're worth it and we know our worth, we want to blend in, we want to belong, we want to conform to whoever we're dating, the social circle we're in, what our family looks like, and we're just finding a way to find a space to be enough. Instead of acting and living out of authenticity and truth and self-compassion. And here's the crazy thing, guys. When we meet someone that lives authentically and lives in truth and lives in self-compassion, we're like, I love that person. Even if we don't vibe with them, we're like, that's awesome. Yet we're scared to take that ourselves. So we love it in other people, but we hate it in ourselves. We hate thinking about being that for ourselves, but when we see it in someone else, we respect it, we value it, and we actually edify it because it's truth. It's how we're supposed to be living. What we've done, ladies, is we've exchanged our purpose for what's popular. Just letting you know. That's what it is. That's what's on the table right now. Purpose or what's popular. And if you think that you can have both, I'm going to challenge that. We exchange our purpose for what's popular because the lie that is upholding this gotta be popular, gotta be fit in because you're not enough, just who you are, it is kept by the gatekeepers of fear and shame. So it sounds like this. I have to do or be or have X, Y, and Z. You fill in the blank. I have to be this because if I don't, then I fear that I won't be blank. I won't be enough. I won't be worthy. I won't be loved. I won't be lovable. I won't be accepted. I won't be successful. I won't be safe. I won't be secure. And beneath all of these is the greatest fear of a human being that is often unspoken, but it's always there. If all of this is true, and I'm really not blank, I'm really not enough, I'm really not successful, I'm really not lovable, then I'm going to be alone. And this is the real fear because we are created for connection. We are created for belonging. It is hardwired into our DNA. And at the core of all of our decisions and all of our struggles in life is the fear that we will not be what we need to be, who we need to be, and we'll be alone. So we would rather be inauthentic, be an inauthentic version of ourselves, put on the mask, put on the armor, show up how I think I need to show up, and receive inauthentic love and inauthentic acceptance, than risk being our true selves and experiencing the ultimate rejection. But guys, if we're not our true selves, we also can't experience the ultimate love and connection and belonging that is at the core of what we crave. So there's a sacrifice here. For most women, the pathway to acceptance and shame is our bodies. It's our bodies. It's our appearance. It's how we look. Somewhere along the line, we created our value and our worth with how we look or what we can give with our bodies. And so for some of us, it might have been sexual abuse at a young age by somebody that we trusted, somebody that we loved, that told us that they loved us. So we equated that love with that physical connection of a body, nothing more than that. So we just learned, like, well, I guess that's what love is. Love feels this way. Love shows up this way. Maybe it was our father or our mother who idolized how we looked or how we performed. Or maybe they criticized us all the time. They criticized us about our chubby thighs. They criticized us about our bloated belly. Whatever it is, I'm sure that you can remember that tape, right? Maybe it was boys in grade school or middle school that compared our body with another girl's body or pointed something out in us that was always something we were self-conscious about anyway, but now, oh my goodness, somebody else sees it. So it just validates that shame, right? Maybe it was a boyfriend who broke up with us because we didn't have sex with them. Maybe it was a boyfriend who pressured us into giving up our innocence, and we felt like that was the only way that the relationship was going to keep going and he was going to keep loving me. So we gave in and we gave that precious gift, and then it wasn't enough anyway. So maybe we need to be thinner. Maybe our body wasn't good enough. Maybe we didn't perform well enough. And so we start to learn about what we need to do to get what we need. And maybe it was that. It was watching women around us manipulate and get attention from men and use their bodies to get men's attention. So we learned that we can also use our body. We can also use our appearance to get what we want or get what we need. Many of us believe that our bodies are the gateway to protecting ourselves from being alone. At deep down, guys, maybe you want to write that down. Maybe you want to think about that. Maybe you want to pray on that. That many of us believe that our bodies are the gateway to protect ourselves from being alone. We believe it's how people will decide whether or not we're worthy. Are we worthy of friendship? Are we worthy of love? Are we worthy of intimacy? Are we worthy of staying? And shame derives its power from being unspeakable. So most women are not talking about their shame. How many people have shame parties, right? Let's get a bottle of wine. Let's sit down with some chips and guac and let's talk about our shame. Now that sounds like something that I would do because that's what I do. That sounds really fun to me, actually, because when you pull your shame out of the dark, it instantly begins to wither. When you wrap words around your shame, it instantly loses its power. So a lot of times when we're not talking about our shame, it's the very thing that's robbing us from being who we want to be, which is authentic and free. But we have to go through the shame, okay? We have to go through it in order to get to authenticity and freedom. And people don't want to hear that. And they don't want to do that. And they want to find a quicker fix. So they'll go to a diet and they'll go to other things and say, well, when I get to this level though, then that shame's just going to go away and then I'll be enough. And it's a self-feeding cycle. You're getting on the crazy train when you do that. You're just on another crazy, oh, this will fix. Oh yeah, if I get these clothes, if I dye my hair this way, I'm going to cut my hair this way. Oh, I've lost 50 pounds. Okay, like I'm all good. We already know. It's just more of us thinking that this is who we are. And it's not. And it can change like that. So it's time to speak, ladies, to our places of shame that keep us quiet because of the fear that it's actually going to disconnect us with others. We have a fear that if we say our shame, if we pull those things forward, that people will pull away from us, that they will disconnect. Shame is the fear that we're not worthy of love. We're not worthy of belonging and connection. But by buying into the fear, we actually get the very thing that we are trying to avoid. We remain hidden beneath our shame, and therefore we're alone, even if we're around people. This was my experience. I had so much shame that was just broken off of me like less than 2 years ago that I didn't even realize it was why I could be with Brian and with even Berlin and still feel alone. Like I could be with a room full of people and still feel alone because the shame I was allowing the shame to keep me from showing up exactly who I am. Tracy, yeah, sometimes I fear that people will pity me and I don't want that either. So here's the difference, Tracy. If you're going for pity, you're using your vulnerability as a manipulation, okay? If you tell and show up authentically in the presence of who you are and people pity you, that is their vulnerability coming forward. Okay? That's their stuff bubbling up. You are opening up the space for them to feel with you, to be there with you, and the self-pity might be compassion towards you. So what you have seen as self-pity and has basically kept you from being inauthentic or whatever that is for you, that self-pity could actually be people trying to connect with you. But because you're looking at it through the lens of self-pity, which maybe you told yourself was bad and you don't want, and that means that I'm weak or I'm coming off as whatever, is the very connection that is trying to come at you. Just something for you to think about, okay? So, let's see. Shame is different than guilt, okay? Guilt says I did something bad. And there's value in that because when you feel like you did something bad, our guilt turns us towards repentance. It's a very functional thing. Guilt has a benefit to it. But shame says, I am bad. I am bad. Shame wants you to hand over your self-worth to what people think, how people treat you, and how you compare to other people. So let me say that again. Shame wants you to hand over your self-worth and say you are as worthy as what people think, how people treat you, and how you compare to other people around you. That's where your self-worth lies. That's what shame says. And once you get wrapped up in shame, you are in a lifetime of pleasing, performing, and protecting for your self-worth. You will please for your self-worth. You will perform for your self-worth. You will perfect for your self-worth because that's where you've placed it. It's exhausting. It's never enough. It's a self-fueled cycle that can only be broken by getting off the train and stepping into vulnerability and authenticity. So here is shame defined by Brené Brown. Shame is the intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. I'll say that again. Shame is the intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. It is real pain. And shame has been created around our bodies, ladies. Again, this is the gateway, is our bodies. Our society fuels it. But riddle me this. This is how I started breaking off the shame around the body and what my body should look like and blah, blah, blah. And should I get Botox and like look at all my wrinkles and I'm getting old and should I color my hair? I mean, it's like, it's a gateway. It's like, that's how I'm going to be more whatever. In one culture, so riddle me this, in one culture, having a voluptuous, full-figured body is beautiful. In another culture, small breasts are preferred over large. In another part of the world, thin is a sign of poverty. Being overweight is a sign of being successful and rich. In another time period, faithfulness was more attractive than showing yourself half naked on Instagram. Have you been on Instagram lately? I research Instagram for my fitness workouts. The number of teenage girls, young girls in their 20s, with nothing basically on, doing squats and doing pulses. I'm just like, what are we doing? And getting 15,000 likes and 30,000 likes. And I'm just like, our culture, social media is fueling. Like, this is how the girls get attention. If they don't show enough, then they're not going to get enough likes. Okay. So that's the time period we're living in now. But there was a time period when that was considered like not attractive, not something that somebody would want to invite into to be their wife or for whatever. And in one man's opinion, somebody thin and muscular is attractive. And then for another man, it's soft and curvy. And that's what's sexy to him. So you could go to different parts of the world and every beauty is defined differently, guys. I mean, you could just look at your body and go, I'm just going to go live here because I'm considered beautiful. I mean, there's places where if you're blonde, right? it's like, oh my goodness, like you are beautiful and gorgeous. And then somewhere else that, like, I'm thinking Norway or Sweden, like if you have dark hair, if that's different, it's like, ooh, that's exotic, that's beautiful. I mean, let's just kind of wrap our heads around this. We have to ask us, who's doing the standards? Because standards are what drive fear and what defines shame. So who sets the standards? This is what God has been speaking to me during the season of unrest. Whose standards are you living by, Amber? Okay, I'm talking about body because this is where I work with a lot of women on that avenue, but I'm talking, I mean, he's challenging all the areas. The place I live, the place that I want to live, my closet, which is so funny. I've wore the same like 15 things and I have a whole closet full of clothes that I bought. It's like, whose standards are you living by, Amber? And where you get your standards matter. So as women, many of us, if we're really honest, would sell our souls to reach the standard of beauty that the world is selling. Or we'd be really close. Maybe like not our salvation, but like pretty darn close. And I can prove it. Botox, plastic surgery, makeup, fashion, diet industry, all of it speaks truth to this statement that we are willing to almost do anything to get just close to the standard of the beauty that we think will make us worthy. But what most women don't often realize, like really attach to, is that it's unattainable. Nobody gets there. It's like I said earlier, nobody gets there ever. It's a fairy tale. It's where unicorns and chocolate rivers flow, okay? Even if you think a woman who's there, even if you think a woman is there, like, oh my gosh, she's there. You know what that woman's doing? Comparing herself to a woman that she thinks is there. It's so true. It's so true. It's a tool of the enemy. It's deception. It's the only one that he has. And he just keeps playing it. But for us, for women, and God's put this on my heart, he goes, my daughters are in deception of where their self-worth is. And my mission is to pull women out of that deception and to live authentically, wholeheartedly, free, so that you can live your purpose and not just do what's popular, okay? Because what happens is that the tool of the enemy to keep us quiet, this deception, is robbing us of our peace, because as long as he can keep us cloaked in fear and cloaked in shame, he can keep us quiet. And as long as we keep quiet, ladies, we will keep the mask on, no pun intended. We'll keep the mask on, we'll keep the armor on, and we'll keep marching through our life, right? Because we're quiet. When inside, behind all of that, we're screaming that we just want to be free. I'm suffocating behind this mask. This armor is exhausting. Can I please take it off? The only way you can take it off is to speak about the things that you fear define you, but they really don't. So once you get it out, you will realize that, wow, now I really know who you are. Wow, now I understand why you do that. Wow, now you can get some healing. Wow, don't you feel free? Right? Don't you feel free? So the fear of not being enough, of not being loved, of not being significant, of not being noticed, it drives us to a place defined by the world that doesn't even exist. It's driving us to try to get something that can't even be attained because of the fear, rather than seeking truth and peace that is real and sustainable, and it's not found of this world. So the COVID-19, it's drawing some things out, okay? It's drawing some ugliness out, and it's drawing some beauty out. And one thing I keep reminding myself is what is coming out of me was already there. What was coming out of me was already there. The pandemic didn't put that in me. It's simply pressing out what was already there. This situation hasn't put anything in us. It's just created an atmosphere of pressure, an atmosphere of stress, to squeeze out what's in us, to squeeze it out. We are in the process of refinement, and refinement sucks. I know some of you don't like that word, but there's really no other word for it. It's hard. It's like pruning. Refinement. Ugh. Heat. Hot. Pain. Impurities. All of it. People are feeling fear, but the fear was already there. You can blame it on COVID all you want. You can blame it on the unknown, but the fear was already there. It was just a low level. It was just hovering under the surface of all the things that made you feel like everything was okay, but the fear was still there. Well, now all these things have gone away, and now the fear bubbles up. People are feeling faith, but the faith was already there, and we're building our faith. People are feeling insecure, but the insecurity was already there. It may have been in a different area of your life, and now it's in finances because of the COVID, but the insecurity was already there. If you don't know who you are and you're not secure in God and who you are as his daughter and as a rightful heir to the throne, if you don't know that identity, then this again is just, this insecurity was already there. It's just bringing it to your attention, which is one of the blessings of the COVID. If you are feeling disconnected, you were already disconnected before. You can say that you felt so much more connected when you could go to the mom's group or whatever, but you weren't even being your real self. So you felt disconnected there too. It just looked a little better and it felt a little bit better. But now that you're by yourself and you're like, who am I going to have a real conversation with? Like, who are my people? Because now that I'm not going to that, nobody's calling me and I'm not reaching out to them. And now I feel really lonely. But that disconnection was already there. People are feeling confused, but they were already confused. They just had other things like work and things that they maybe weren't confused about, but there was still a confusion down here. And now it's bubbling up. We can blame it on the situation, on the circumstance, but if you do, you're going to miss the gift. You're going to miss the opportunity. There's a gift here. There's an opportunity for awareness, growth, release. I want to ask you, what is coming out in you? Maybe it's hope. Because there was hope underneath here that maybe you could get out of the situation that you've been praying for God to deliver you from. And you'd been hoping that something would change and something would break and he would give you a sign that this is the path and I'm supposed to let go of this and I'm not supposed to do this anymore. And now you have it. Don't let fear cloak that. Don't let shame take away that hope that's bubbling up in you that maybe things can be different. Because they can, and they already are. So just take advantage of it. Most women I work with, they feel like they have very little freedom in their lives. They think that a thinner body is the key to feeling more confident and therefore having more freedom. Because if they were more confident and they had more freedom, then they would do the things that they desire. That they would do the things that they told themselves that they would do when they got the confidence to do it. And they're attaching a number or a body figure to that place where they actually go after their dreams. But when they get down to making the changes necessary, so when women get to this place, you know, like, okay, I've got a thinner body or I'm on my way to weight loss, right? And they get down to making the changes necessary to walk out into freedom, to walk out of the fear, to walk out of the shame, there's these imaginary things blocking them. Often the freedom, you guys, when I coach women, it is so close. I can literally taste it for them. I can literally taste it for them. And it's like, here's what the fear sounds like. If I make radical changes to my lifestyle, whatever, to get healthy, if I make different choices than what I've had in the past, then I'm going to buck the system that's been in operation for so long that the unknown of what would happen is so terrifying that I would rather just keep wanting something different, but not really do anything different so that we can just keep things normal. Ultimately, what they're saying is, I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to be alone. And right now, as things are, I'm not alone. Even though I feel alone. Ugh, what a dilemma. But that's what holds women back. They are afraid of bucking the system. They will only change enough that it gets a little bit uncomfortable, but it's still super comfortable. Because if they go into the discomfort zone, it's not just going to affect them. It's going to affect everyone around them. When you change, people change with you. They either move towards you or away from you. But here's what I've learned, guys, as I have walked through a crazy path, is that, you know, I had pretty much all of my friend circles removed. Like all of them. Part of it was the split up between Brian and I. There were a lot of people that were connected to us as a couple, and it was devastating for them to see that we were not together. So it actually was a grieving mechanism for them. Okay. But at the beginning, I didn't take it like that. I took it as shame. Okay. Whoa. Like I just lost on my friend group. man, my relationship, who I was in that relationship, like that was who I was. That made me worthy to want to be a friend, okay? So God takes all of that away because I'm willing to go through. Actually, I won't say that I was willing. I was forced to go into the discomfort. Okay, trust me, I tried to get into comfort. I tried to mend the relationship. I tried to do whatever I can. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm being completely honest right now. There were things that I was willing to compromise. There was things that I was willing to overlook just to get back to the normal. Even though the normal, I felt so alone and I felt so trapped. And only now can I really admit that because it was better than being totally alone in my mind, okay? So as God moved all of these friends and everything out, okay, I'm like, all right, Lord, you're going to have to fill me back up with like something, like some people. I started praying for the type of friends that I really wanted, the circle that I really wanted. And I wanted to be able to be myself, to be real, to be messy, to cry. You know, I'm loud, I'm obnoxious, like I'm all those things. Like I needed people to just love me the way that I am. But God challenged me. He's like, but Amber, you have to learn who you are. Otherwise, you're just going to create another version of yourself to fit in to whoever I bring into your life. So there was a long period of time of deep loneliness, of just me in Berlin. Yes, I had my sisters who live across the country. I have a really close friend who moved pretty far away, so I wasn't spending time with her regularly. And it's like he really removed a lot of people, but I could tell that he was doing a work in me. And I did want to show up as myself when new people or even old people would come back and say, how are you doing now, Amber, since this divide? It was like my reset. This is your reset. I didn't want that reset, okay? And now God's giving me this other reset with the pandemic, but this is your reset. You're not seeing a lot of people. There's people that you probably haven't even talked to that you used to talk to on a weekly basis, monthly basis, maybe even a daily basis if it was work or something like that. They haven't seen you. This is the reset. Here is what also the lie can sound like that keeps you from walking into your freedom and making the changes necessary. What if when I change, my life doesn't fit anymore? Right? My friends reject me. They don't want to hang out with me anymore. The people that felt comfortable around me because I was just like them, now I'm not going to be just like them. And so maybe they're going to think that I'm judging them or I'm better than them. Yeah. Okay. This is all real stuff, ladies, that we think about. Okay. I want to let you know. What if I become free and the people around me are still in prison? It all comes down to what if I'm alone, guys? What if I'm alone? What if the real me is not enough for the people around me to still love me? What if when I show them who I really am and what I really desire and I really step into the power of who I am, they'll leave me too? Too scary. So it's just safer to be the version that I've always been, the version that fits into this life that I've created, even though I know that it's not my best life. Like, that's so sad, guys. And I'm sad because, and it's not sad, I'm just like, I feel you, ladies. Like, I would not have chosen this path, and all of those fears that I read, like those were real fears, but God picked me up and planted me in a place that I had to face those fears. And this pandemic is one of these opportunities that God's giving you. He's lifted you up and he's put you in a place to evaluate all of these things. Like, I'm looking at who I'm talking to and not talking to during this pandemic. I don't want to go back to superficial. I don't want to go back to just passing the time. I don't want to go back to just saying, okay, at least I have 10 friends. I don't want to go back to those places that make me feel like I'm enough, but it's not my best life. I don't want that. So I'm cutting the fat. I'm cutting the fat on habits. I'm cutting the fat on people. And I already went through that. But God's pushing me again because I got into a comfort zone. I got into the comfort zone. I'm walking through a divorce. I'm a single mom. Like, I've got this whole story that I tell. And he's like, Amber, you can live in that story and you're going to live a small life. So until you let go of that story and you step into a new narrative, and now's the time to do it. Okay. My divorce is coming up final. He's moving all these things in place. Everything's kind of uncertain. I've got an opportunity to redefine some things. He's like, you need to take it. And I think some of us are challenged to see this pandemic as an opportunity to finally choose to live in freedom. And I'm telling you, that's what we have been given. We can choose to live in freedom. And the reason we won't do that is because we're looking through a lens of what we can't do and what we don't have anymore. And that's not the places to look. It's not at what I can't do anymore. It's not at what I don't have anymore. It's what is left. What is left? I promise you that what is left is your foundation. God, your family, your walk with yourself, okay? Like these are just very basic things, guys. Good nutrition, moving your body, getting out in nature that God created for us to enjoy and to be good stewards of. Like this is what we're left with. He is saying this is the foundation. Will you build it up during this time so when everything goes back to normal, slowly, that what you start putting on top of that foundation is also going to be solid, okay? So, so here's some questions. During this pandemic, are we paying more attention to anxiety, scarcity, confusion, unstable relationships, other people's opinions, what the news is saying, the fear of the unknown? Is that where we're spending our focus time rather than paying attention to the opportunity and to the gifts in this place of confinement? So who am I when nobody's around? This is a good one. Who am I when nobody's around? What music do I listen to? How do I dance? How do I talk? Berlin and I have dance parties all the time. And I love the idea that it's like, I want to dance when she's not around too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't just want to be a version in front of her. It's like, why can't I dance when nobody is around? You know, why can't I do some of the things that I do with her to show her how to be her authentic self and to express herself? Can I do that when nobody's around, when nobody's looking? What do I do when nobody's looking? What was I doing just because I thought I was supposed to? Great question for you to ask God. To look at your life and go, before all this happened, what was I doing just because I thought I was supposed to do it? There's the performing, there's the pleasing, there's the perfection. What am I saying yes to just because I wanted to belong? Just because I wanted to say that I had something to do? Just because I wanted to say that I had somewhere to go? Just because I wanted to be around people, even if those people really didn't care about my life or know who I really am? What was I saying yes to just because I wanted to belong? What desires are emerging in this new atmosphere as time opens up? As distractions have been eliminated, what's bubbling up in me that I desire to do? Write, sing, dance, work out, cook. I've heard a lot of people say cook, like that's awesome. And what am I making time for that is enhancing my life, enhancing my body, enhancing my spiritual walk with God, enhancing my relationships? What if we change the lens we make decisions through from the question of what will people think to the statement of I'm enough? What will people think if I do X, Y, and Z? No. We change it to I am enough to do X, Y, and Z. It isn't that we don't care what people think. I want to be very clear about this. I care what people think. But here's what God has shown me, and I've gotten edification from tons of stuff that I've read, and it keeps popping up. We care about what people think, but I cannot care about what everybody thinks. The only people I care about who thinks are the people who deserve for me to care about what they think. They've invested in me. They know me. They know my shame. They know my secret places. Those are the people that I care what they think. They have high value in my life. They have shown themselves worthy to have an opinion in my life. But the people that we think care don't really care. The people that we're dressing up for don't even really care. The people that we're trying to impress aren't even watching. And that has been so huge and humbling to me. Yeah, because it's pride. Like thinking that people are giving us more clout than what it is that we really deserve. So what if we changed from what people think to the statement of I am enough? The key to being able to do this is moving from shame to empathy. Moving from shame to empathy. Being self-compassionate with ourselves. Being courageous with a big, huge dose of courage. And a lot of people are eating, they're drinking, they're smoking, they're Netflixing their way through this pandemic. But some of us are taking it as an opportunity, the opportunity to redirect the focus and the energy that before the pandemic was going to this project, which is what I do, that event, who I need to be, this commitment, what people will expect, that goal, what I will achieve, running the kids to that sport, who I am, what number is on the scale, what do I look like, getting money for this new version of whatever, this will make me feel good, climbing the corporate or social ladder, this is what defines me. I mean, those are the things that we were running after, to the pieces that really matter when everything else is stripped away. The pieces of our lives that God intended for us to invest in. He intended for us to invest in them and serve as a solid foundation to build our lives on. And what we've done is, before this pandemic, we have shoved it aside and we started chasing everything that everyone else was chasing and not questioning it. We believed that if we didn't, we'd be left behind. If we didn't, we wouldn't be worthy of belonging. So the key to this journey may seem daunting. Okay, I get it. Trust me, I've been coaching women for a long time. I've been on this journey. It is not a quick process. It's something that you have to keep going through. But where it begins is having self-compassion, being gentle with ourselves, finding a safe environment to confront our shame and confront our fear, to finding the strength and the courage in a safe environment to wrap words around the thing that we've kept hidden because we thought that if people knew it, that they would love us less. But actually, it's the pathway for them to be able to love us more. The moment we bring things into the light and speak it, it begins to wither and die, which is awesome. Okay? So my encouragement to you, I mean, this is like a message that's probably like, man, Amber, seriously, I feel like I need an appointment with my therapist after this. I get it. But it's the unspoken things, ladies. It's the things that we don't want to talk about, we don't want to look at. There is an opportunity in this storm, okay, for us to have some things to be shaken, right? That's being shaken. And the things that are falling apart, I want you to think very, 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 very carefully if you want to pick them back up. And if you do pick them back up, instead of them being the foundation of who you are and your life and everything that is like true to the base and the like the foundation of who you are, maybe they're just put on top of it, but they're not the foundation. And our foundation, you all, is where we spend the most time and energy. So with God, taking care of our health. If you don't think that this pandemic has shown us that we have been deceived to ignore our health, we have been deceived to believe that somebody else holds the power to make us healthy. We believe that there's very little that we can do. Like, we have just been deceived about our whole health. Oh, if it gets that bad, I'll just take this pill. Oh, if I gain that much weight, I'll just do this diet. It's such bullshit. And I'm just going to say it because this is where I get fired up. And the Lord has been not placing on me to cuss. He has not been doing that. He tells me not to cuss. But you know what? It's part of being my authentic self. I really believe that. But it's such bull, the stuff that I believe has just been infiltrated in our society. I mean, look at the commercials of the happy people with the 2 minutes of side effects of drugs. We have to start taking care of ourselves, and nobody's going to do it for us. We're going to have to put on our big girl panties. We're going to have to cook for our families. We're going to have to bring fresh fruits and vegetables into our homes. We're going to have to get some of the stuff out. We're going to have to not go through fast food as much. This is not about perfection. This is about getting things back aligned. Getting things back aligned. And there is nothing that's going to do that for us, and no one who is going to come and rescue us out of our bodies that are exhausted and unhealthy because we have been ignoring them, neglecting them, putting other things in front of our bodies. And now we've got this opportunity that our bodies can now take this front and center, getting outside and having fresh air. The number of people that are taking walks that have probably not walked in years or months or only to get their mail. I mean, it's crazy. I can tell that these people have not walked before by what they're wearing, by how they look. It's like, yeah, you probably haven't taken a walk. No judgment. I'm just saying. It's like we have this incredible opportunity to cook, to sit around the table with our families. You know, I mean, it's just amazing. God is doing such a work. So I am thankful for this pandemic. It may not sound like it because it is excruciating and painful in some ways, but it is so liberating and freeing to walk through this. And we're going to come out the other side stronger, more focused, more intentional, with our priorities set straight if we do the work. And we don't just hide behind a mask. And I'm not saying anything about wearing a mask. This is a metaphor. If we hide behind the mask, hide behind the armor, everything's going to be fine. The government's going to take care of it. Like once we get back to normal. No. You take care of you. What do you need to do to get your life in order? Do it now. Because as we slowly unravel out of this, you are going to be able to create your life. I'm telling you. You've got it. Like here, create your life. Don't wait for somebody else to do it. Don't wait for somebody else to tell you that it's time. Don't wait for somebody else to tell you what to do. You already know so much. So step into it. I know it's uncomfortable, but it's the pathway to this extraordinary life that you want to live, okay? All right. I love you guys. I think I'm done ranting, and I've almost done it for 50 minutes. So if you have gone all the way to the end, God bless you. You're going to be blessed for that. I'm just kidding. I mean, maybe. And I love you. Okay, let's do this.